Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, today distributing flyers. After I met with the city, I had a responsibility. I was given in the order of 700 flyers to distribute from 2nd Street through to 7th Street in San Jose. It is probably about half a mile either side. It's a good walk. The whole process took me about 4.5 hours to distribute flyers to these streets. A number of people in the community were genuinely excited to see me. I shook a number of hands, explained the process to a number of folk. It was only until I got to my street and the third last house that I had to deliver these flyers to where I encountered any degree of hostility. This hostility came from a gentleman who basically sells ATV vehicles, mopeds, scooters. He has a business that he operates outside the front of his house. When we first moved to the area within the first 3 months that we were here, a gentleman knocked at my door who was one of this guy's customers, was complaining about a bad sales experience. My perspective looking at the scooters, the ATVs, this kind of stuff, is there's probably not any after-sales service. They're probably bought as seen. And in general, my perspective is this guy's business, it's not really on the up and up. He's the kind of guy who probably could be heavied a little by, certain elements in the community. And my perspective is, through what he does, he probably isn't interested in coming to a community meeting that involves the police, for example. So I chalk this up to, this is just a slightly dodgy situation, but it did leave a bad taste in my mouth that ultimately I was delivering these flyers in a relatively thankless way. There are a series of things that occurred after I delivered the flyers. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on it. But having spent 4.5 hours in, probably 25, 26 degrees Celsius heat, which I think is in the mid to high 80s, that kind of temperature, it just wasn't a particularly edifying experience. I did get to see how many of the houses in the community are almost derelict, falling apart. I went to a number of apartment complexes that didn't have any facility for any degree of communication. They were locked. They had kind of mailboxes, key-operated mailboxes where it was impossible to put any flyers or anything like that in. Some of the mailboxes have been jimmied open. This is the caliber of this particular community. It gave me an immense insight into some of the beautiful houses in the area, but in general, if there was an emotion, if there was a smell that permeated this community, it was the smell of old urine, kind of urine-soaked wood was the smell that I got as I moved between these various houses, putting these flyers up associated with the community meeting. Again, this is an experience that just moves me towards leaving this area. It was a sense of the general hopelessness associated with this particular place, and a sense also that I was probably slightly in danger by delivering these flyers. For example, I left a flyer at the Alligator House, the Alligator Gang House. I saw that the various paperwork associated with animal cruelty that had been stuck up had been pulled down, and I also noted where the automatic fence had been pulled off its hinges. Clearly the feds weren't playing around when they raided this particular place. This is the experience that I had walking around the community, delivering flyers about a community meeting to try and stop the violence. Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.